5 Emmy nominations, a Peabody, a Golden Globe. 40 million Americans have seen your work over the past 10 years. Not bad.
My mother would be very happy if she were alive.
So in the 70s, you got established, and you were doing pretty much mainstream work. And then comes this biopic on Abby Hoffman. And then what appears to have happened is that your work has evolved into what some people call filmanthropy. What is that?
Doing the Abby Hoffman movie, Steal This Movie, really affected me and affected my subsequent choices. Soon after I finished that, 2 things happened that pushed me towards the political and social films. One was the death of my father, and the other was 9/11. And I remember very clearly, and I have 4 children. So after 9/11, I remember very strongly this terrible sense of isolation, feeling how quickly our country had turned from pain to rage and revenge. And in terms of wanting to, it's not what you say to your children, right? It's not, you got to walk the walk and not talk the talk. So it's at that point that I really made a decision that I wanted to do more in whatever way I could to sort of try to affect the country or affect people in the community or use whatever skill set I had. And then when my father died, it was like the second piece of saying, you know what, now is the time. And at that point, I moved to the political work all full-time.
So is that to say you're sort of peeling back the layers of what's wrong with America?
Yes, I mean, that's part of it. And part of it is connecting the dots, because I think a big part of the challenges today is for people to understand you are not responsible that your child had a lousy education.
So who are your investors? How do you get your money? What do you do to get it?
I beg. And I beg in a variety of ways. You disguise it. But actually the fundraising part does take a lot of time. When we did the full-length documentaries, Walmart, Fox, Iraq for Sale, there was some income stream, not enough to cover it, but some. But we made a decision about 2 years ago that there was this new thing called YouTube, and we wanted to try to take advantage of it to reach a bigger audience, which meant no income for us. So we have 4 areas. We have 6, 7, 8,000 people we want to grow to 10,000 this year who give us small amounts, $5, $10, $20 a month. We have some courageous foundations that support us. We have some high net worth individuals who support us. And then we work with partner groups who may come to us where our philosophy is similar and say, you know what, you guys really know how to tell a story. You know how to reach an online audience. So whether it's the ACLU or the Sierra Club or our friends at the unions, that's a 4th source of income. So all 4 of them are part and parcel of allowing us to continue to fund.
So do you think eventually what you do will eventually rival what mainstream Hollywood does now?
Well, I don't think the work we do will ever compete on a monetary level. And all the people working at Brave New Films, many of them very experienced, work here for far less money because we are ultimately a nonprofit. So we'll never be able to offer, a piece of the gross or net profits, but there are none. But having said that, I can tell you the satisfaction of doing this work, of getting up every day and thinking, how am I going to tell this story? How am I going to deal with economic disparity? How am I going to deal with racial justice? How am I going to deal with immigration? How am I going to deal with the war? For me, and I think for almost everybody at Brave New Films, being able to wake up every morning and know that your job, your work, is to think about social justice, to think about taking our storytelling skill sets, our distribution skill sets, and using them to make the world a better place. There's nothing that can compare to that.
So what do you tell these young filmmakers who come in? Go ahead and get into this and be broke?
Well, I'm very clear that the economic challenges. Look, I was very fortunate. I was able to have a career in commercial film and television. I made an incredibly good living, which allows me now to be a full-time volunteer doing this, because I don't take any money, because I could not fundraise if I was paying my own salary. It's hard enough to fundraise, but at least I can say, no, none of this is going to, pay for my gas and electricity. It's to pay for the staff. But for the many young men and women on the staff, it's a choice, and it's a choice that they make based on the fact that they're willing to pay a price for doing work that gives them this enormous pleasure.
Nobody appears to be off limit in your films. For example, when you did Burger King Exposed, does that hurt your chances for getting money, investors?
Yes. When we took on Walmart, we did a film about Walmart, and a major producer financier backed out with about 3 weeks to go because he was concerned that being involved with us in any way, Walmart would not carry his DVDs. At which point, and I don't recommend this to the young people in the audience, I had to go mortgage my home in order to get some of the funds so that we could keep production going. Ultimately, we were able to go to the donors and raise the money, but it definitely makes it tougher, and it's not for the faint of heart.
Fighting for our homes. Perfect timing. Mm-hmm. What kind of reaction did you get from that?
Well, we've had two kinds of reaction. If you go to the website, you'll see the stories of people who are in danger of losing their homes, who are losing their homes, and who are, again, this is really important, who are playing by the rules. The right wing has done this extraordinary job of attacking these people because they are less privileged, did not have lawyers reading through the contracts. So we've had a very strong response from those people. And then we're starting to have a strong response from the elected officials who are going to the website and taking these stories and using them. Because remember, so much of politics is around personal stories. You can argue policy. Policy should be argued. But the way the populace in general makes their decision is around human stories, the human face on it, which is another way we talk about what we do. We put a human face on policy so people can say, yes, you know what? We should be helping these people. We've got to change the laws, or the banks have taken advantage.
Bill O'Reilly dismisses your work as leftist propagandism and just right of, I think he says, Fidel Castro. Here's your chance to answer.
Well, I still can't figure out, what does that mean to be right of Fidel Castro? To be called a propagandist by an expert in propaganda, like Bill O'Reilly, in some way, I guess you could look at it as an honor, but there was a day a while ago we got attacked by O'Reilly and Drudge and Hannity all in the same period of time. When you do this kind of work, you know you're going to be attacked. It's never the most fun in the world to be smeared and yelled at and distorted, but it also means you're being effective. And the effectiveness comes from our audience of millions of people who take the films, who take the videos, who go out, use them, and that really upsets people like O'Reilly who fundamentally do not believe in democracy.
So what's the future of socially conscious filmmaking?
Well, there's two answers to the future. On the technology part of it, again, part of our job is always to stay ahead. We did the documentaries, then we helped create the house parties. Now we're sitting in what used to be a barbershop, which is a studio utilizing the new technology. We're experimenting with Facebook, with Twitter, with RSS feeds, with Dig and Reddit. I mean, there's all kinds of new stuff. And there's somebody in a garage someplace who's creating something that's going to make the technology of what we're doing totally obsolete. So all I know is we're constantly looking, exploring, and trying that. On the content side of it, I think as the world and our country has become more complicated and the issues more fundamental, I didn't think in my lifetime we would be having a debate about the nature of capitalism. But that's really what we're having right now. And it's a critical debate. Fundamental questions. What's fair? What's unfair? How does the system work? Our job is to keep helping raise those questions, connect the dots for people so they see the connection between war, between the economic system, between people without jobs, and then critically motivate them to take action. And I think that's only going to become more important given the level of crisis we're in right now.
Robert Greenwald, I think you're going to have it. Thank you very much. Yeah.